And black and poor kids can be as smart as white kids. Donald Trump had said a tenth of any of that. Thank you, Belinda. A tenth of any of that, y'all would have slayed him. Slayed him. He would have been crucified where he stood. But nobody says anything about that because they're so concerned about Donald Trump and hating Donald Trump, which prior to, and I'll end with this, prior to Donald Trump announcing in 2008 that he was running for president and switching parties from the Democratic Party, because what a lot of people don't know is he was a JFK Democrat, JFK was the last good Democrat. Everybody wanted to be him. Snoop Dogg, P. Diddy, Tupac, Biggie, all wanted to hang out with him and be around him. And they wanted Donald Trump money. But after he announced he was running for president under the Republican flag, oh, he's a racist. He's a xenophobe. He's a misogynist. Why?
Okay. Let me go ahead and address your second half first. Let's talk about Joe. There is not one single person that voted for Joe Biden that is a fan of Joe Biden. They're not. I'm sorry. I voted for the man. I'll be the first person to say it. The choices was Biden or Trump. Wasn't going to vote for Trump, so I voted for Biden. There are no Biden fans. There are no Biden flags. I got exactly one shirt. I had to go look. I got exactly one shirt from the Biden-Harris campaign. And you know what it says? I paid more in taxes than Donald Trump. That is the only reason I got it, because I laughed out loud when my wife showed it to me. So let's talk about Joe Biden. Joe Biden is a new Democrat. He is no different than what Bill Clinton ushered into Washington, D.C. He always has been. Has Joe Biden said some fumbly, borderline racist stuff? Yes. Find me a older white man who has grown up through segregation, grown up through Jim Crow in this country who is not. But where I think a lot of people, such as yourself, get this wrong is this. There is such a thing as redemption. I'll bring up Robert Byrd, for example. Listen, I'll bring up Robert Byrd. For some reason, the MAGA community seems to believe that Robert Byrd was like the head Cyclops, the big Cyclops.
Exalted Cyclops.
The exalted Cyclops of the KKK. No, he wasn't. Robert Byrd was a member of the KKK. Absolutely. Now, was he the Grand Cyclops of the Grand Dragon? No. He was a part of the organization. But here's the thing about Robert Byrd. At some point in his life, he said, you know what? This is not who I am. He spent the remainder of his life atoning for it. Now, I will say, just getting off of this for a second, Donald Trump has never atoned for anything, but I digress.
How so? No. Let's not skate past that. Okay. How has he not atoned?
He has never atoned. Never. The situation involving his divorce from Ivana, the infidelity. It's not men cheat, women cheat, it happens all the time. The infidelity that ended up on the cover of the New York Post, that man never apologized to her. The fact that Stormy Daniels is out here telling a story about how Donald Trump got on top of her, did his business. Donald Trump never apologized to Melania, who was I'm sorry, she wasn't pregnant. She was breastfeeding their son while he was out here having dalliances. Trump has always come off as the sort of man who does not apologize for anything. He learned that from Roy Cohn, who was his mentor. And
Thomas.
Yes.
Jill Biden was married when she got with Joe Biden.
It happens all the time.
So here, I'm not trying to cut you off, but I'm gonna say this and I'll let you continue. What that man does in his personal life, just like what anybody on this app does behind closed doors, as long as it's not hurting anybody physically or hurting themselves or causing others problems, is their business. Stormy Daniels got slayed in court by Trump's lawyers and stuff because she was wrong. What that man did back when he was a billionaire playboy, whether he was married or not, whether he apologized or not, that's between him and God. What he did for our country, however, is a completely different story.
But hold on. I'm showing you it's a character thing. So, did you know that Joe Biden was one of the loudest voices fighting the first Bush administration about apartheid in South Africa? Everybody likes to take these comments that Joe Biden has made throughout the years, and they'd like to take them out of context. The whole idea of calling something the jungle and his kids going to a black school was in defense of desegregation.
You can't believe that. Look,
hold on, wait,
can't believe that.
Lumberjack, wait a minute. Let me tell you what I do believe. And this is a feeling that if you go across the black diaspora, you will find this to be true. Black folks do not trust politicians of either party. Democrat, Republican, we don't. We have heard slogans, we have heard stirring speeches, and we have seen no work. I do not believe in the Democratic Party. I do not support the Democratic Party. I don't. Everybody likes to bring up Malcolm X and what he said about the white liberal. They forget what the man said about the white conservative, which is a wolf. And the reason he said this is that there is no defense, there is no justice, there is no equality for black people in either political party. But what I find so amusing is how many conservatives seem to believe that black folks are just enamored with Joe Biden. No, we're not. We were not fans of the Obama-Biden administration. We were fans of Obama. We were fans of Obama. We weren't fans of Joe Biden. He just was happy to be the guy that was there. And the other aspect of it, and I just saw it in the comment, well, why do black folks vote for them then? Because the Republican Party, even when they recognize what is coming out as far as racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic rhetoric, which they did with that whole, what did they call it? Autopsy of the 2012 elections. And they were like, we need to do better outreach towards black community and the Hispanic community, the Asian. They came up with this. That was 2012. 4 years later, they nominated Donald Trump as for president. So as much bullshit as Joe Biden has done, when put in grander context, you see that it makes sense. However, there are not a whole lot of context to what Trump has said and done, because it is a pattern. Nobody can find me the pattern with Joe Biden. Nobody. You can find me innuendos, but you cannot find me the pattern for what Joe Biden has said and done. Name me. Everybody likes to bring up the 1994 crime. Do I have to pull up the video where he pretty much tells you how vicious of criminals and how terrible blacks are, and this was spurring up to the 94 crime bill, but this is him speaking on the Senate floor talking about how dangerous and evil black people are, and then he was denounced or shot down, I want to say 4 or 5 times when he tried to push that 94 crime bill, until he went to the Black Caucus to get them to side with him and bolster his argument. Then it got passed. The 94 crime bill didn't get passed until Joe Biden went to black people to get it passed, which demonized the black community. Let me ask you a question. Did you know that the Congressional Black Caucus didn't have to be coerced? They were part of it.
That's worse.
Yes.
That's worse.
But you know why? Do you know why they did that?
Why?
You know why they did that? To appeal to Newt Gingrich and their contract with America having Republicans. And the funny thing about it is that every single person, from Maxine Waters and James Clyburn to Joe Biden and Bill Clinton, have apologized for that bill. However, not one Republican has done the same.
Okay, so
Not a one.
Can I respond to that? Can I respond to that?
Let me finish.
Okay,
So
well, hold on to that
bring
point.
up that 1994 crime bill. That was not Joe Biden's bill. That was Bill Clinton's bill. Joe Biden just so happened to be, it was a bipartisan bill. It was bipartisan. Look at who the other signers.
It wasn't bipartisan.
Why was it not bipartisan?
Hey, go ahead and continue your point. I'm gonna pull up exactly why it wasn't bipartisan.
So
go ahead, continue.
Okay, so it's almost as if everybody likes to blame things on Joe Biden simply because Joe Biden is president now. That 1994 crime bill had a whole lot of baby mamas and a whole lot of baby daddies, a whole lot of them. The Congressional Black Caucus, the Freedom Caucus. Well, I guess it wasn't called the Freedom Caucus. It was like a bunch of Republicans. Republican senators, Republican congresspeople, Democratic senators, Democratic congresspeople. I think Bernie Sanders was probably one of the only people who fought against it. So while all of that is going on, if you're going to simply blame Joe Biden for it, do you not have to blame everybody else?
Okay. All right. So before we go any further, let's unpack this slightly, because you said something. You said it was bipartisan.
Yes.
It was not. 188 Democrats voted yes for it. 46 Republicans voted no for it.
How many Republicans?
Hold on. 195 Republicans said no to it. 131. Sorry. Let me correct myself. 64 Democrats said no to it. 131 Republicans said no to it. So 188 said yes, Democrat. 131 said no, Republican. That's not bipartisan.
Okay. So how many Republicans said yes to the bill?
Only 46.
46 said yes to it.
Yes. That's not bipartisan.
Sounds bipartisan to me. Okay. How many senators?
This is okay. You want the senator vote too? Hold on, let me pull that up, because let's see, because it's worse in the Senate. I wish I had that pulled up before. Let's see.
And did you also, while you're looking this up, it was Bill Clinton's bill. So but Joe Biden
wrote it. Joe Biden wrote it. Bill Clinton signed off on it. Joe Biden wrote it.
Joe Biden did not write it. He was a co-signer, but he did not write that bill.
Guilty by association.
Okay.
So
I mean,
the
if
Senate,
we're gonna go guilt by association,
you want the Senate vote, right? You want the Senate vote? The Senate vote. 54 Democrats said yes. 7 Republicans said yes. 2 Democrats said no. 36 Republicans said no.
Who was the president
at
the time?
Bipartisan.
Hold on. Who was the president at the time?
Bill Clinton.
Was that not one of his signature deals in 1994?
Yeah, he had to sign off on it.
Hold on.
He had to sign off on it. Look, this president has to put his stamp of approval for a bill to become a bill.
It is a Bill Clinton signature piece of legislation. Of course, his party is going to support it. Because think about this. If we go back, we'll go back to W times. W passed tax cuts, right? Did he not? Did he not?
You're talking about George W. Bush?
George W. Bush passed the tax
Okay.
cut. How many Republicans supported it? How many Democrats supported it? Think about that. When a president,
I don't know.
The party of a president will always support the president's agenda. Of course, there were more, but it's still bipartisan.
False.
If it was 100 and something odd Democrats and no Republicans, that's not bipartisanship. If it's 75 Democrats and no Republicans, that's not bipartisanship. When you have Republicans and Democrats supporting a bill by a president, that's called bipartisanship.
That's not the way that works with the Senate and the Congress. It has to be a majority. That's why when it's a split, they have to have the vice president decides. But let's segue off of the racism talk, and because you mentioned taxes and stuff like that, let's segue into taxes, because we can beat a dead horse on racism, and I'm not going to give on that. You're not going to give on that.
No,
but You mentioned how the president's party always sides with them. They did not with Donald Trump. His own party demonized him. They did not care for him. So he was fighting his own, and he was fighting the enemy. But when we go to the financial aspect of what Donald Trump did for our country, I'm going to ask you this. I'll pose this question to you, and then I'll rebut.
Okay.
Do you believe that Donald Trump helped our country financially?
No. No, I do not.
Substantiate, please.
Okay. We've already shown throughout history that tax cuts do not help the country. We don't. They do not help, especially when they're targeted tax cuts. Now, if we were talking about across the board, everybody gets it, it lasts for a certain time, then we go back, maybe, possibly, but it depends on what the economists say. But we had targeted tax cuts, not once, but twice. Not once, but twice. We had them with George W. Bush, and we were fighting a war, and we ended up in a deficit hole. We had them under Trump. Then we had coronavirus. Targeted tax cuts do not work. And the part that a lot of conservatives, MAGA people do not like to admit is the fact that those tax cuts for the corporations, billionaires, and the 1% class were permanent. The ones for anybody making $125,000 and under were temporary. So everybody ended up getting a big ass tax bill later on that year. And then we had COVID. Now, you can say whatever you want to about how we handle it. I can say whatever I want to about how we handle it. But the fact is, the economy was not going great with those tax cuts, and then COVID happened. And he was the leader. He was the person stewarding the ship. So all of that debt and all of those problems are on him. Okay. I mean, seriously, if everybody wants to give Joe Biden stuff that he's done back in the past and these things and guilt by association, Donald Trump has to eat the fact that he gave everybody tax cuts for billionaires, and then COVID happened, and we've been crawling out of that economic problem ever since. That's his. He owns it. But go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So, it's a lot to unpack, but I'll take it nice and slow. That's the way I like it, nice and slow. So we're going to just gloss over the fact that the whole bill that just got passed, that if you make under $400,000, you're going to get taxed more. So that's a tax break for the rich. And if you make 396 or 69,000, I can't remember, I get the 9 and 6 mixed up, $1,000 a year, you're considered to be in the top 10% of the country. Anything under that, you do not. So under $400,000, everybody's going to get taxed more under the bill that Biden just passed. That includes us, the upper middle class, the lower middle class, and the poor are all going to get taxed more, which Biden actually campaigned on saying that he would not do. However, when you look at Donald Trump's economy, which was absolutely stellar, by the way, we have a 17% tax break for those who made 100 or up to a 17% tax break for those who made $100,000 to $500,000, a 6% tax break for those that made $1 million or more, and anything under that was a larger percentage of a tax break. So the middle class actually benefited far more from Donald Trump's tax breaks than any other class in the history of tax breaks. Now you can look this up. You don't have to take my word for it, but in the history of tax breaks, the middle class benefited more than any other tax break ever given by any other president in the history of the United States. And that's never been done before. So you said that they paid more in taxes after COVID, which is not true. I'm not going to call you a liar. I'm going to just say maybe you're uninformed. They did not pay more. I am a business owner. I own 2 businesses. I was making 6 figures under Donald Trump. I paid less in taxes making 6 figures than I did percentage-wise than when I was under Obama making like $26,000 to $30,000 a year. So per percentage, I paid less under Donald Trump making more than I did under Obama making less. And that tax benefit was undone by Joe Biden. Now, where Donald Trump's economy got really screwed up was COVID. But before he left office, his economy was restabilizing. So Biden took over a restabilized economy and tanked it with his 28, I think, or 31 executive orders, undoing most of the things that Donald Trump had done within the first month of office. So that's when you started to see our economy go from a flat line that's slowly trickling down to a complete uptick, and inflation hit like hell. So as a business owner, and I'll say this and I'll let you respond, but as a business owner, I get to see things that most people as a normal consumer don't when I go to buy product. When my products go from $40, and I'm using small scale numbers, so it that's not to overwhelm anybody, but when my products go from $40 to $100 because of inflation, that hurts me. Now my prices now have to go up for the consumer who uses my services, not because I want to, not because I'm overly greedy, but because I can no longer afford my product and their services at those original prices. So now, economy speaking wise, I'm having to hurt other people's feelings as my feelings are hurt when I purchase my products. So when they said inflation was like 8.5, 8.9, realistically, it was more around 18%. They were giving you a number that only culminated food and gas taxes. But there's more taxes, as you and I know, than that in our country. So when you add it all together and make it one big basket, a beautiful basket, and you look at it, taxes are now sitting more so around 21%, which is up 3% from where it was prior to, even though they like to say it's only 9% or whatever now. They're lying to you. They're only giving you one side of the picture, which is blinding to people. So when you look at gas prices, gas prices are coming down. Presidents don't control gas prices, but they do in the sense that when you remove the gas tax, not just what you see on the gas station when you're pumping your gas, but the county tax, the city tax, the state tax, the processing tax, the travel tax for when they transport it, and the pumping tax out in the Gulf when they pick it up and then bring it back in. There's about 12 different gas taxes that they have that we don't see as a consumer. We only see that number there. So when they remove that gas tax price, the price started to go down. And he did that for the sole reason because he was being slaughtered in the polls. And his approval ratings, when he did that removal of the gas tax, actually went up a little bit. He went from 31% up to 34%. He did that to pander to the people because he was getting spanked. And the midterms, people were losing faith, and they're starting to shift more to the Republican side because they're seeing how financially there's a disparity under the economy. It was not Donald Trump's economy that hurt people. It was COVID that hurt his economy. And then Joe Biden removing all those stipulations that he placed on other countries and tariffs on other countries that have decimated our economy. And now we're sitting in the boat that we're sitting now. Financially, I am struggling. I'll be first to be transparent. I no longer make six figures. I'm back into double digits. It's still pretty high double digits, but nowhere near. I've lost almost $90,000 a year because of COVID and Joe Biden's economy.
Okay. Let me start off by saying inflation is a global issue. It has always been a global issue. It is the same. What I find so annoying about a lot of Americans is they seem to believe that America is the only place on earth. COVID did not happen to us. COVID happened to the world. We are part of the global world. So when people were like, COVID happened to everybody. So does inflation. So inflation is a global issue. And unfortunately, because we are still digging ourselves out of what the pandemic brought, we had inflation. But let me go ahead and tell you something that I once heard an economist tell me. It usually takes 2 years for a president's policies to be put in place to actually show any sort of growth or regression. You give a person a tax cut in your first year, by your third year, you should see some results. If you raise taxes, which is something Reagan has done, by that second or that you do it in the first year, by the third year, you should see some result. Everybody talks about how great Trump's economy was. That was 2 years after Obama's economy. And
I'm glad you brought that up.
Well, hold on. Obama's economy was already on the way up. We had the longest sustained period of job growth in American history under Barack Obama. So when Trump came in, Trump's policies had absolutely nothing to do with it. A lot of people would like to give Trump the credit simply by sitting in the White House. But if you're going to do that, you want to give the credit, you must take the blame. So Trump signs a tax cut. Then COVID happens. A global inflation takes place. So you talk about the gas pump. Let's talk about the gas pump for just a second. We're talking about oil cartels, oil companies that control all the global oil on earth. You don't think there was some price gouging? A lot of oil CEOs even admitted to this, that under Republicans, they like to keep the prices low because they know Republicans are all about cutting taxes. When a Democrat shows up, boom, prices go high until they don't. If the president has nothing to do with gas prices, when Biden is in and they're down, then he has nothing to do with gas prices when it's Trump and they're down. If the prices are up under Joe Biden and it's Joe Biden's fault, then when they're up under Trump, they're Trump's fault. It's like y'all want to have your cake and eat it too. Any way to not even cut the corners, kind of round the corners off to make Donald Trump look good, y'all are willing to do it. Unfortunately, that's not how politics work. And I noticed everybody complained about gas prices. Did you know that a price of a gallon of milk was higher than a price of a gallon of gas? Nobody ever complained about the milk. Not one single person ever said these milk prices are out of control. So which one is it?
They did.
Which one
they
is
did.
it?
Okay, so all right. Let's unpack what you said. I'll start in reverse. Gas and milk. People did complain about milk. People also complained about the prices of bread. The issue is they had to do something with the gas prices under Biden. Him shutting down the Keystone Pipeline, which he did. He said he was going to do on the campaign trail and then did. That's when you started to see gas prices go up. His actions that he took under executive orders himself pushed the gas prices up. We saw almost a 38-cent increase in the first month of him being in office, not because he's a Democrat, but because he removed balances and checks that Donald Trump had put in place under executive orders because his party would not pass bills when they had the House and the Senate. That's why I said earlier that when you said that the president's party agrees with him, they didn't because he couldn't get anything passed when he had the House and the Senate because they were against him. Now, gas prices would have stayed down and Joe Biden would have been touted out a hero if he would not have removed any of those executive orders. But he said out of his own mouth, I'm going to undo everything that Donald Trump did. And when he started doing that, gas prices started to go up. That's a problem. Now, moving on to where you were saying how, it's Donald Trump's fault. You want to round it off and make it smooth to make him look good versus not doing the same thing for Biden. I like Donald Trump because of what he did for our country, what he did for my pocket, and which allowed me to pay my employees up to $30 an hour for my business. But I didn't like the way the man spoke. But I didn't vote for him because of the way he spoke. I voted for him by his actions, because you said that earlier in the conversation that he didn't follow through with anything he said he was going to do. Just about everything he was able to do under an executive order, he did. He did. So not to get back on the subject of racism, but what he did for black people, 97% of the people that benefited from the First Step Act, black. He helped people that were harshly sentenced for small crimes get out of jail. And in that First Step Act, there was a program which I know you don't really care for Snacks. I love him to death, but Snacks benefited from that because it taught him business skills. When he got out, he was able to start his own business. Many criminals did that. My cousin, who is in prison now, is a recipient of that also and will benefit from that when he gets out. He will have his own business when he gets out. He also did something for the black community that never had been done before with the HBCUs by giving them funding for the next 10 years, which, by the way, Joe Biden, within his first month, cut into that by $30 billion. Now they'll have to be back in the next 4 years asking for money again. And we don't know where that money went. Okay. We look at the way our economy is as it stands, and we're giving money to other countries when we're hurting. We're giving money and aid to countries for gender studies that end up getting used for roads because these countries don't believe in gender studies. They just took that 25 million and used it for roads. We're doing everything for other countries, but nothing for ourselves. We'll be a little over $100 billion given to Ukraine, while Flint, Michigan still has bad water, while Mississippi still has bad water, and they still haven't done anything for that. But you have philanthropists giving money and aid to these areas, trying to build these places up. But Joe Biden has not done anything. You mentioned about the 94 crime bill, which you said he apologized for. Why didn't he do anything in the 48 years after, well, I won't say 48 years, but the years after the crime bill that, or to the point, from the point that he apologized, why didn't he repeal that now that he's president? He's not repealed anything that he set forth to do, yet everybody's saying that he's a unifying president. A unifying president doesn't get on TV and say they are extremists and the MAGA Republicans are bad for America. To say that is causing division. Whether you like Republicans or not, whether you like Trump or not, you cannot say stuff like that and demonize a specific group of people, because that's no different than what they did to black people back in the day by saying that they stink, they don't work hard, and all this other stuff. That's demonizing a group of people for something that's not true. MAGA Republicans, as they put the coined term, are not dangerous to our country. We're not, what happened January 6th, you can feel how you feel about that, say what you want to say about that. It's our property as people of America, and it's being ran by tyrants that don't want to get out of power, and we're suffering for it on the tail end. So my issue overall is not the Donald Trump Biden bullcrap that goes on. It's the fact that they've divided people like you and myself and put us on both sides of the aisle, and we fight, bicker, and go back and forth. And I'm not trying to make amends for whatever, but I'm trying to say we're divided. While we fight, they make billions. While we fight, they hide and sweep things under the bus. Like, I don't know if you've seen the Hunter Biden laptop or iCloud. I have. That's very detrimental to a person's psyche. But they sweep that stuff under the rug, and they demonize us and fight and pit us against one another, while they make money and millions off of us, and they stay in power. There's no reason anybody should be in office for 48 years and have done nothing that's substantial to better our country, but you become a multimillionaire. Yet you can't account for the $5.2 million that you showed in your transparency report, and you don't know where it came from. And when we see all of these things, nobody looks at that and says, hey, that's a problem, because it's Joe Biden. We didn't vote for Biden because we like Biden. We voted for him because we hate Trump. But everybody was doing better financially under Trump. That's a fact. Black people were coming off of the streets. Black people were starting businesses. I'm a recipient of that. I started my business and went to 6-digit income in a year from doing that. Under Obama, I was incapable of doing that because I didn't have the resources that were allotted to me to do so. My thing is, we are fighting each other while these fat eggs keep getting fatter and richer off us. Donald Trump didn't take a single dime of his salary. He donated it. Biden has taken every dime of his salary and gets richer. Donald Trump has put forth a lot of things trying to help the community, but they fought him tooth and nail, both sides, because both sides are trash. They're both the same bird, two different wings, fought against this man tooth and nail to stop him from doing what he was doing because he was messing with their money. And they did not like that. That's why they called him a xenophobe. That's why they called him a racist. That's why they called him misogynistic or sexist, because he messed with their money. They did not like that. There's no reason a politician should go into office making $100,000 to $200,000 a year and come out with a net worth of $8 million. That is stupid. It does not work like that. And people can say, oh, it's off of book deals. It's off of book deals. No, it's not solely off of book deals. It's from lobbyists who say, if you scratch my back, I'm going to make sure I give you a couple of million. If you do this for me, I'm going to give you a couple of more million. And under Obama, that happened for 8 years. I watched it happen for 8 years. And people praise Obama for doing what? And people will say, what are you going to do for the black community? By action, Donald Trump is the blackest president we have ever had. If you want to say, what has he done for the community? Because he helped more black people get out of jail, stay out of jail, and make more money and go to college. More black people went to college under Donald Trump than there ever has in the history of under any other presidency.
Okay.
Facts.
All right. Because I've got to go finish this damn thing, and this has been a very pleasant experience, even if I disagree with almost every single thing that you've said. I'm going to end this like this. You are absolutely right that they are two wings on the same bird. And you're right that the fat cats keep us fighting while they make money. But here is where I vehemently disagree with you about this idea that the president controls us except when the president doesn't control us. Congress controls us except when Congress doesn't control us. The reason you and I are at a disagreement may very well be political, okay? You are MAGA proud, I am anti-MAGA. That's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people like chocolate, some people like vanilla. I'm good with either way. My problem always has been, and my problem always will be, this idea, and I talked about this on Jeff Kennedy's show last night. There used to be a basement. There used to be a floor. The fact that Joe Biden saying that the MAGA cultists are a danger has pissed off so many people. But how can it piss people off when we've heard every single lying scenario about how Black Lives Matter has annihilated a city, even though nobody can pick which city happened to, or
$11 billion in damages.
What city is gone? There are people, and you have to be honest about this, Lumberjack, and tell me if you say otherwise, I know you're lying. Tell me you have not heard recently that BLM burned down a city, that it is currently still on fire from 2020. Tell me if I'm wrong. That's what the problem with rhetoric is this. You can disagree with Joe Biden. I don't really care. Y'all the ones that censored yourselves, though, with that Let's Go Brandon shit. You have to admit that was really weird rather than just saying fuck Joe Biden. But the problem is, there's only so much people like myself who have the same political ideologies and the same political leanings that I do. There's only so much we are going to sit and take from people who continue to call us groomers and pedophiles. We burned down the city. We're out here raping people. We're beating up people with MAGA hats. BLM is responsible for every single thing that black people do. There's only so much of that you're going to get before you end up getting pushback. I'm going to be honest with you, Lumberjack. I would not even be here if it was not for the fact that somebody needed to stand up and say these things. Now, everybody likes to attribute shit to Joe Biden. Everybody loves to attribute. The gas prices is Joe Biden. Inflation is Joe Biden. And then we can go all the way back and pull any sort of out of context thing about Joe Biden. But it seems like Donald Trump is untouchable to the MAGA crowd. Y'all won't even admit. Now, you were the very
He's undefeated right now. He's undefeated right now. They ain't arrested him yet.
Hold on. You freely just sat here and admitted that you do not like how that man talks.
No,
You admitted that. That is a first. I've been on this damn application since 2020. That is a first. A MAGA person actually saying something bad about Donald Trump. And this idea that everybody that voted for Joe Biden voted against Trump. No, there are some people who liked Joe Biden's policies. I didn't care. I know what Democratic policies, I know what moderate Democratic policies are. I'm voting for, okay, you're going to give me more Bill Clinton shit. Great, fantastic. That's all I need. we're not voting for this idea of magical change, but it is only Trumpers who seem to believe that Donald Trump can do no wrong, and they are willing to do some heinous shit in his name. Is that not extremism in America?
Who's okay? I know you got to go, but who did heinous things in the name of Donald Trump? Like what physical heinous things?
Hold on, listen. I will say this to you as distinctly as I possibly can. Our seat of power was attacked for the first time since the War of 1812. Do you understand? Since the War of 1812, we have never had an attack on the federal Congress since the War of 1812. And we had it on January 6, 2021.
May 29th.
May 29th what?
May 29th. They marched on it also, but
March.
My thing is we cheer when other countries try to liberate themselves from tyranny.
Lumberjack.
But we demonize ourselves when we do it. But I mean, I digress.
Let me finish.
I digress.
Hold on. Let me finish. They did this for one man. One.
No,
Yes,
Thomas. No, they did not. They did it because of $11 billion dollars of damage around the country for an organization that did nothing for the people that they said they were fighting for. They did it because Antifa was going around harming people and actually killing people with chop and chaz. They did it because they felt like the unprecedented happenstance of the election being paused, which has never happened before, and held over, and all these other oddities that happened in our election process that's never happened before with anybody on this app that's living. They did it because of that, not because of Donald Trump. It had nothing. The fact is, technology has given us the ability to see things that we've never seen before. So they were doing underhanded stuff always, but now with technology, we can see it. We can see it. And that's the problem. That's why people are acting out the way they are.
Listen. You say that an election has never been held over. It happened in 2000. George W. Bush and Al Gore held the election over. That shit ended up in the Supreme Court.
They did that because of miscounting of votes. That's why that
still was an election that was held.
No. They had already declared Bush as president, and it went to court because they thought because he was saying there's fraud. That election went through. That process went through. That went to court after the fact.
This is another conversation for another day. I will say this: whether I agree or disagree with every single thing that you have said, I appreciate the fact that you were gracious enough to come. We were gracious enough to sit here and debate like grown adults. We can go back to slinging fucking intellectual insults at each other tomorrow, but today, I want to thank you. And I want to say, even if I vehemently disagree with every single thing that's ever come out of your mouth, I respect the fact that you came here and stood your ground. So
I got the shorts. I got the shorts on.
I really hope you just, I'd rather you just not. Just, you can keep them. They're yours. Do you, dog. Do you. Like I said, tomorrow we can go back and start slinging. You'll talk about my fingernails and earrings, and I'll talk about your booty cutter shorts. But today, I respect you for coming. I respect you for coming, and I thank you very much for being here.
Yep, thank you.
All right, guys, I'm out.
Have a good one.